Welcome back here once again, everyone. I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to say this before it really starts to reach that point where I and all kind of get fed up of it, but it's what's going on, and I'm gonna have to talk about this. In regards to DC Comics, their multiverse has gotten out of hand. It's actually not just a problem with DC, it's a problem with Marvel also. All these multiversal stories don't make any kind of sense. They cheapen anything of being important, and it just continues on like that. Now, I have no problem with a multiverse story. If you want to do a multiverse story, yes, it's always good once in a while to see how different these characters would be, but it mustn't be an ongoing, never-ending thing to give everybody an opportunity to screw up what has been established about these characters. But that's what they keep doing. Getting to this article here from CBR. Dark Crisis brought back the multiverse and DC's greatest potential. Let me tell you exactly why that's not true. DC's decision regarding how to handle the fallout from Dark Crisis has set it on a path to thrive. No, it doesn't. On the power of its greatest asset, the multiverse. No, it's not. Nope, not at all. Dark Crisis led DC in a very different direction than most readers expected, intentionally, because they started off telling you one thing, dragged them behind on something else, ended with some crap, and expect you to believe that was the greatest achievement ever known. But this is CBR, they got the founder. As what was initially sold as the death of the Justice League, which never turned out to be true, wound up becoming the birth of many worlds. From the Amalgam universe to Dark Knights of Steel, Dark Crisis changed the way that the DC universe was set up. More importantly, though, it set the precedent that is the inverse of DC's previous major franchise restructures. Now, Crisis on Infinite Earths was DC's was actually one of the really good multiverse stories that was done, and DC did it to correct a problem that they had. They had far too many multiversal stories going on, far too many, so they decided to put on an event, and it was an actual event, not like what they're doing today, where everything is an event, even though it actually isn't. There are far too many events that it needs to stop. So it was billed as some big event, but it didn't pan out that way. But when it comes to Crisis on Infinite Earths, there were a bunch of different multiverses, and they did Crisis on Infinite Earths to correct that problem. That was the basis for it. Was a good story, but it was paced out well. It had a reason for it happening. It had that events that happened in it, and it had a conclusion. And that was the whole point of it. No, but ever since then, they keep bringing it back because you keep hiring these lazy-ass writers who don't know to do anything else other than just backtrack and piggyback off of what has already been cemented and done. Let's move on. During Dark Crisis Big Bang #1, the Flash runs through dozens of universes and draws a map at the end of the issue. The implication is that this list will keep growing, which is a great move forward for DC. No, it's not. As it has determined that their primary source of creative freedom doesn't come from the main DC universe. That is exactly where it should come from. Your very creativity should come from the main DC universe. That's what people are interested in. Not, hey, let's give everybody an opportunity to screw this up by telling them, you know what, you take this universe, you take that universe, you take this universe, you take that universe, everybody take a universe. So when you have actual DC fans who are trying to figure out what the hell is going on here, you're trying to make things for people who will just pop in once in a while, take out and say, okay, fine, never come back. You're driving away your fans. But from the Elseworlds stories that come from it, by acting in different opposition to previous events, DC has created the most potential for original superhero stories than it had since the onset of the New 52. Now, New 52 is considered by many DC fans to be one of the worst things DC ever did. Literally one of the worst things DC ever did. Now, there are only really a few things that I actually kind of liked from New 52. One, I liked Superman's costume redesign. I thought it really did look kind of updated, and I thought it really did look pretty cool. I will say that I find that the outfit that he had on looked pretty cool. Okay. And I also like the Court of Owls story. I thought the whole Court of Owls story was really interesting. Okay. And there were one or two others I come to mind at the moment, but other than that, everything else was just crap. They put out a lot of shit that didn't make any sense. If I'm not mistaken, the New 52 is where they introduced that whole power for Superman. I think it was his solar flare or super flare. Whenever he used it, he would lose all his powers. It didn't make any sense because Superman, the whole way they set it up was that Superman would focus all his solar energy into his heat vision, and that would be... Now, here exactly why to me that makes no sense. Because Superman literally has more power than the entire planet. If he focuses all of that into his, not even all, if he wasn't like about even quarter or half of that into his heat vision, that would ignite the atmosphere and kill everybody on the planet instantly. But I digress. The New 52 was not good. People disliked it. They disliked the changes that they started making to the characters and all that. And then they attempted to correct that with Rebirth. That didn't work either. Then they had the whole death metal thing. DC kept trying to reboot, and each time they tried to sneak in some alternate universe kind of nonsense that wasn't working. They continue on. Alright, DC began the exploration of the multiverse long before Marvel. In fact, by the 1980s, dozens of alternate timelines and variants of DC heroes had been created. So much so that fans had some difficulty pinning down exactly which reality was the true one. Exactly. To continue with this little bit, with that, DC introduced one of its greatest foes and had the Justice League hop across the multiverse as it was destroyed by Pariah and the Anti-Monitor. This supposedly reduced the number of Earths down to a far more manageable number. After a few decades though, Elseworlds had become difficult to maintain, so DC once again reduced that number with the Flashpoint crossover, marking the point of its compression. After another decade though, DC once again has a massive number of parallel Earths with the Justice League, DC vs. Vampires, and more. This time, however, DC determined that it was time to take a different approach. Dark Crisis functionally turned DC's multiversal management strategy on its head. Now a map of the multiverse exists, but with the full knowledge that there is quite a bit left to explore and many universes yet to be created. Why? You keep doing the same thing that causing the problem. Essentially, rather than narrowing their scope, DC has broadened it so that Pariah and Anti-Monitor's actions allow for the creation of new universes and Elseworlds stories that simply need to be given a number. It's a great strategy for creative storytelling and a perfect way to make the DC multiverse even broader, keeping in line with the DC upcoming Elseworlds stories. You see, this is the problem. You just mentioned earlier on that people had a problem keeping up and wondering which one was actually the correct one. And that now you're saying that, okay, let's make more, but we'll give them numbers. And again, I say, if you are not a dedicated DC reader, a dedicated DC fan, for which there are very, very, very few left, and even the ones that remain still are not going to be able to understand it, why keep doing this? Why keep doing this? all these different things, and in one year, though Crisis on Infinite Earths and Flashpoints are both brilliant stories, their practical fallout was largely reactionary. These stories took out a significant portion of the DC multiverse to keep things easy to manage. Well, then, it should your main focus should be the main DC universe. Not let's just give out multiversal worlds to anybody so they could write anything. What next? The Justice League as fishes? Come on now, man. However, Dark Crisis took a step in the other direction and opened up a system for more stories. It's a direct answer to DC's previous innovations while carefully managing where its stories may go in the future and embracing the strength of the Elseworlds brand. It's not. Look at the Elseworlds stories that DC are putting out right now. Fans are not liking them. If you just look at Batman Fortress, for instance, Gary Whitta changed Superman's origin. You understand me? No longer was Krypton a peaceful world that had a natural disaster, and he was said they're all now a bunch of warmongering sycophants who wanted to create death everywhere that they went and conquer the universe. Because why? He just wanted to do that. And now what you've essentially done is given everybody an opportunity to do the same damn thing all over the place. All of these multiversal stories need to stop. They are not working, they're not good, they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and you just keep making it worse. These multiversal, like I've said before, I have no problem with a multiversal story. If you do one and it's really good, done. If you have to do a second one, and I mean if you really absolutely have to do a second one, it must tie into something that you're already doing and set up yourself with a really good story. Once that's finished, never do it again because it's too much. If you just look over at Marvel, for instance, everybody's a Spider-Person over at Marvel. Spider-Man has become the greatest multiversal joke around. You cheapen the character. And that's all you keep doing. Just keep doing the same thing over and over. And now we come over to DC, whose comics can't even sell because the main heroes in your universe, you have completely thrown them by the wayside. And your brilliant idea is, let's go out there and do more multiversal stories to make it even more confusing and insane. It's ridiculous. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.